The tale begins with Suzurikawa Hinaji standing beneath a tree, calmly telling him she's dating senpai. Yukito freezes. Memories of their childhood flood back, quiet days spent together, shared secrets, and a bond he always thought was more. His hand clenches into a fist. Then, without a word, he turns and runs. Startled, she calls his name. Recalling her warm smile, he thinks, if that wasn't affection, he may never understand what is. With renewed focus, he charges forward. Something in Yukito breaks again. Ignoring Hinaji's desperate call, he only wishes to disappear and escape the pain. The story shifts to Shuryu High School, Year 1 Class B, where Yukito sits on his first day. As the teacher begins calling for introductions, a quiet tension settles over the room. To Yukito, these introductions aren't just formalities, they're glimpses into the people he'll be surrounded by, clues to what his new school life might become. Sakurai Kana introduces herself cheerfully, encouraging everyone to get along and even suggesting a get-together. Our MC notes that she's the cheery type. Shakadanya follows, casually mentioning her interest in bugs. Observing the emerging social order in the class, Yukito decides not to stand out. He plans to blend in as an average, harmless, and gloomy presence. When his turn comes, he unexpectedly announces that he plans to leave the school, surprising everyone. He assumes this will make them see him as an oddball, which suits him, since he already sees himself that way. The teacher asks about his statement, and he accidentally reveals after knowing how unreasonable life is, he just blurted it out. Realizing what he has said, he continues with a deliberate self-introduction, explaining that he keeps to himself, often pretends to be asleep, prefers to be ignored, and does not mind being called unpleasant or insulted, convinced that no one will want to talk to him. Fujishiro-sensei, the teacher, scolds Yukito, telling him not to waste his high school life and offering to listen if something is wrong. Amused, he replies that his school life is not the only thing he has wasted, startling the class and drawing laughter. As he moves to sit down, a cheerful boy bursts out laughing, saying the year will be fun with Yukito, and asks to exchange contacts. When Yukito remarks on him using his first name, the boy smiles and introduces himself as Miyokoki. Yukito, feeling confused, wonders why someone like him would want to talk to the gloomiest person in the room. Mio responds warmly, saying he doesn't see Yukito as gloomy at all, and suggests they become friends. Before Yukito can refuse, Mio declares it settled. Yukito silently suspects he just wants an extra boy to make his own handsomeness stand out. He mutters that dealing with a self-centered guy is easier than one with a poker face. Koki pointedly ignores the comment. When Yukito suddenly offers him money, Koki just stares, wondering what kind of past this guy has been through. After finally exchanging IDs, Koki asks if Yukito is free after school. Just then, Sakurai Kana approaches, cheerful as ever, and suggests a get-together. She asks if Yukito-kun will join. He thinks they're already at the stage of bonding, like a battle between a Heibu and a mongoose. Watching her bright personality, he wonders if she'll be the class's shining light or a fierce rival. He knows that they will eventually settle things and asks if he can call her Elizabeth. She refuses, reminding him that her name is Sakurai Kana. He admits he doesn't understand why she is inviting him. She explains that she spoke to Miyu, who told her he isn't weird, and that they have gathered others as well. Yukito abruptly stands and politely declines, saying he has other plans today, but thanks them for the invite. He tells them to have fun without him. Kana replies it's a shame but says there will be a next time. As he leaves the classroom, he mutters that he didn't lie. His mom will be home late, so he needs to make dinner. Besides, hanging out with those girls feels pointless. His thoughts drift to Suzurikawa Hinaji. She's in a relationship now, and as her childhood friend, he doesn't want to cause any trouble. Then there's Kamashiro Shiori, so kind and innocent, someone he could never hurt. He remembers how uneasy both of them looked. When he saw their names on the class list, he decided to stay away, but they met on their first day. Meanwhile, the party is in full swing. Among the group, a girl asks about Kokanoe-chan. Someone mentions that he was already talking about leaving school on the very first day. Mio reassures her not to worry, saying that Yukito is an interesting person. When she asks if Mio knows him, he explains that they played basketball together, despite being in different middle schools. Shiori asks Mihao if he's ever played a match with Yukito, and he replies that he has, surprised that she knows him. She explains that they started playing basketball because of Yuki. Curious, Miyu asks why Yukito didn't show up at the tournament. Shiori hesitates, then apologizes, saying she can't talk about it. Sakurai chimes in, asking if they were close. Shiori quietly admits that he hates her now. At the start of their second year, she had taken an interest in him. Their club had no strict rules, so the boys and girls often created fun activities on their own. Yukito had always been different, good at everything, amazing in every way, always helping others but never taking care of himself. At the time, she had been just a girl who didn't know how to handle her feelings, so she had buried them. Still, she began to watch him secretly and took everything from him in her own quiet way. She admits that maybe this is why Yukito is the way he is now, and that the fault lies entirely with her. Hinaji quietly agrees, saying she feels the same. Surprised, Shiori asks what she means. Noticing the tension, a few nearby girls whisper about the mood and mention that they all went to the same middle school. Hinaji then explains that she and Yukito have been childhood friends. The conversation quickly escalates into a heated exchange between Shiori and Hinaji, both clearly emotional when it comes to Yukito. Sakurai quickly steps in, stopping them and reminding them that this is supposed to be a get-together party. Still upset, Hinaji leaves and Shiori also leaves after apologizing. After they are gone, the others slowly resume their celebration, the party atmosphere returning bit by bit. When Yukito arrives home, his sister is already upset and immediately questions him about his introduction at school. He wonders how Yuri-san could possibly know about it. They don't even attend the same school. The only explanation, he thinks, is that someone must be spying on him and reporting every update to her. After their brief exchange, they sit down to eat together. Partway through the meal, Yuri asks if his mood is because of Suzurikawa and Kamashiro. Yukito stays silent, giving no answer. Inside, he feels puzzled. How does she know about Kamashiro? It makes sense she would know Suzurikawa, since she is his childhood friend, but Kamashiro is another matter entirely. Once they finish eating, Yuri excuses herself, saying she needs to study, and leaves the room. Yukito goes to his own room and starts thinking. He realizes that when he gets angry, he behaves in strange ways. Could it be that his sister is actually worried about him? No, he tells himself, that can't be true, she hates him. In her room, Yuri sits in deep thought, worried about Yukito. She had wanted her brother's high school life to be the best it could be. But now, because of those two girls, everything feels ruined. She silently vows never to forgive them. She thinks about how Yukito seems to hate her. His expression earlier had shown it clearly. When she had touched him, his eyes had looked afraid of her. She believes that in difficult times, he will never come to her for help. To her, it feels like they don't even share the bond siblings are supposed to have, and she blames herself for that. She knows he doesn't see her as a good sister, but she resolves to protect him from those two girls no matter what. The next day at school, Kamashiro approaches Yukito and asks if he will play basketball. She mentions that she is thinking about becoming the club manager. Soon after, Suzurikawa asks him if he would like to go to a cafe with her for lunch. Faced with both invitations, he feels completely overwhelmed and unsure how to respond. Yukito thinks that when it comes to girls, his luck is terribly bad. His mother neglected him, and his sister hates him. The childhood friend he liked has a boyfriend, and during his heartbreak phase, he was bullied. He believes his constant misfortune with women is the result of some past life consequence. In his imagination, he once fought bravely, only to meet an unjust end and be reborn in this world. Now he struggles to connect with others, unable to truly relate or form close bonds. Eventually, he stopped trying to figure out the reason, left only with confusion. At present, he wonders why Suzurikawa and Kamashiro are arguing right in front of him. Seeing them argue, he reflects that he doesn't even want to talk to either of them. Annoyed, he wants to have lunch alone and hopes that they should eat and take their fight elsewhere. At that moment, Kuki arrives and asks which group Yukito plans to join. Before he can answer, Kamashiro quickly says he is joining the basketball club and that she is its manager. Yukito starts thinking that while he can land every ball in the basket, in real life, none of his goals are being achieved. Instead, the only things he remembers are unpleasant experiences. With a firm attitude, he says he doesn't want to play basketball, and nothing can ever force him to play it again. Kamashiro tries her best to persuade him and apologizes for what happened, but Yukito refuses, saying a gloomy boy like him will never join such a typical club. Mihao encourages him to join, but Yukito calls him Mr. Sunny and tells him to do it instead. Suzurikawa also adds that she is going home. Our lad then walks away toward the cafeteria, wishing Kamashiro good luck in becoming a manager. She is shocked, wondering why he is no longer calling her by the name he used to. On his way, he notices the baseball club practicing even in the afternoon. Watching their passion, he thinks about how he used to be the same, crazy about the game. But now, catching a ball doesn't make him feel anything. He knows he can never play the way he once did. When he reaches the cafeteria, Sujirikawa invites him to eat lunch together. He wonders why she was waiting for him. He firmly tells her not to talk to him, but she replies that they are classmates and childhood friends. Coldly, he responds that childhood is in the past and means nothing now. When she asks why he is speaking like that, he suddenly raises his voice, saying it's because he feels bad about a boyfriend, her boyfriend. His words shock Sujirikawa and everyone nearby. He remembers that she had a boyfriend in middle school and realizes he probably shouldn't have said that in front of everyone. Still hurt, he asks why she can't just forget about it. He explains that he only said it because he could never stand seeing his girlfriend with another guy, even if that guy was just a childhood friend. He adds that she probably wouldn't like seeing her own boyfriend gossiping with another girl either. Yukido thinks back to when Sujirikawa chose someone else and how that created a great distance between them, a distance she never seemed to notice. Even though they are childhood friends, that doesn't mean they can always stay together. With a troubled expression, he tells Sujirikawa to invite someone else instead. He does it only because he used to like her and wanted what was best for her. But now he wonders if he still likes her at all. Deep down, he feels that the day will never come when he finally finds the answer to that question. After Yukido leaves, everyone starts whispering about Sujirikawa and her boyfriend. Angered, she tells them all to be quiet. Fighting back tears, she insists it is all her fault, then walks away, crying as she goes. In the next class, the teacher announces that tomorrow's lesson will be held outdoors. The school is hosting its annual event, which focuses on hiking and building friendships. She explains that everyone must form teams of 4. The classroom quickly fills with the sound of students grouping up, but no one includes Yukido in their team. He thinks to himself that this must be the role of the gloomy guy. Then Miho asks if he wants to join their team. Yukido agrees, and the team ends up including not only Miho, but also Sujirikawa and Kamashiro. The next day, the class goes hiking. Yukido walks ahead of everyone and shouts loudly into the mountains, his voice echoing back. Miho looks at him in confusion, and Yukido calls him handsome, adding that it was just a funny idea. Miho asks if Yukido wants him to do something even more ridiculous, but he explains that he was only testing his chance. Soon, Sujirikawa and Kamashiro also catch up with the group, yet Yukido continues mumbling. Miho eventually scolds him in front of everyone, embarrassing him, and tells him to stop. After that, the class settles into the rhythm of the hike, and while the others enjoy it, Yukido finds no fun in it. To amuse himself, he sits for a while on a pile of fallen wood along the path. Meanwhile, the girls reflect on how rare these outdoor classes are and how important it is to work together as friends. On the other hand, Yukido thinks about not wanting to ruin their school life. As they continue walking, Sujirikawa accidentally hits her foot against a stone, and the group takes a short break. Yukido approaches her and tells her to take it off. His words confuse everyone around. Sujirikawa blushes, clutches her jacket tightly, and says they should only do that when they are alone. Yukido, puzzled, replies that he does not understand what she means, since her foot is already clearly visible. He holds her foot and notices it is swollen. He admits it might be his fault, thinking he should not have walked so fast. Sujirikawa apologizes, saying she has delayed everyone, but Miho reassures her not to worry. Sujirikawa then laughs lightly and tells Yukido not to worry either, adding that her foot does not smell. Yukido responds that if it did, she might be offended, but he would simply hold his nose. Sujirikawa reacts with surprise, repeating his words several times, asking if he really means her foot smells. Flustered, Yukido asks if she wants him to check, leaning closer as if to smell it. Sujirikawa immediately stops him, insisting there is no need. As Yukido sits there, he thinks about the situation. He realizes that he is holding a girl's foot, and if anyone were to report it, it would not look good for him. Pushing the thought aside, he carefully wraps her foot with a bandage. He asks if it feels okay, making sure it is not too tight. Sujirikawa assures him it is fine. He then hands her a bottle of juice, and she thanks him. He tells her to let him know if the pain gets worse. When she tests walking, she moves carefully and says it feels fine. Yukido reminds her again to speak up if it hurts and encourages her to take it slow from now on. Just then, Sensei, looking worn out, staggers over and insists he treat her too. Her exhausted state makes Yukido uneasy, but she begs with desperate eyes. Joking around, the others comment she looks like a zombie, and he adds she will struggle during the future sports festival. He asks Kamashiro to learn it, since she is supposed to be the manager. Yukito guides her through the bandaging, and Sensei thanks her with relief. Watching Kamashiro's serious effort, Yukito cannot help but compare her to an excited puppy eager for praise. When the bandage turns out perfect, she beams with pride. Overjoyed, she even holds out her hands playfully like a dog, saying woof, and Yukito humors her with a light-hearted pat. The group laughs, and the tense atmosphere eases as their hike continues with lighter spirits. He throws a candy, and she catches it and brings it back. Placing his hand on her shoulder, he tells her to calm down and listen to him, reminding her that she is not a dog but a human. Shocked, she explains that she only acted that way because he told her to. He replies that if she continues behaving like a dog, then he will have to become a breeder. Calling her a good girl, he begins tickling her. Afterward, he reminds her again to remember that she is human. Kamashiro steps in and warns that if he does something like this with anyone else, it will count as sexual harassment. Startled, he asks if what he just did to her was considered harassment. He points out that she was the one acting that way in the first place. Quickly, she dismisses it, saying it was just funny. Adding that it feels the same as they were a year ago. She then changes the subject and asks how his arm is now. He tells her that it has fully recovered. After hiking for some time, they finally reach their destination. Everyone looks around happily at the view. Yukito wonders to himself whether it is truly beautiful or not. They spread out their sheets and sit down together. In his heart, Yukito silently thanks Doraemon for bringing a sheet for him. Yukito then asks Suzurikawa if her foot is okay now. She replies that it is fine. He offers her candy and adds that he also has a bandage. Suzurikawa looks at him and says it feels like he has everything, as if he is used to injuries. She reminds him that he was injured back in 3rd year of middle school. Yukito is surprised and asks how she knows about that. She explains that she has always been observing him. Confused, he wonders why. Instead, Suzurikawa asks him why he helped her earlier. He answers simply that they are on the same team and also classmates. Suzurikawa takes out her phone, which has a bear-shaped strap attached. Seeing it, Yukito asks if she still has it. Surprised, she asks if he really remembers. He nods and says it was from the festival. She agrees, recalling how much fun that time was. Curious, Yukito asks if she had a fight with her boyfriend. She firmly tells him that she has already said before that he should not ask about anyone's personal feelings. Realizing his mistake, Yukito apologizes. Suzurikawa then says that her boyfriend will never forgive her. He tells her that if she cannot fix everything, she should just start over from the beginning. At first she looks confused, but then admits that he is right. Suddenly, she stands up and apologizes for all the harsh things she once said to him. She says she should have asked for forgiveness earlier, but fear stopped her. She was afraid that they could never go back to how things used to be. Yukito, puzzled, tells her it is nothing like that and that she should forget everything. But Suzurikawa continues, admitting she had been very selfish. With tears in her voice, she begs him to forgive her. Watching this scene, the people around them grow confused, unsure of what is happening. Yukito says he is sorry and admits he does not understand why she is speaking this way, as she was not mean. He apologizes, telling her he should not have spoken about her boyfriend in front of everyone. Then he adds that he just spoke his mind. Confused, she mentions that she was wrong even then. Yukito replies that her harsh words made him realize his position. They were friends, and such things often happen between friends, but their paths were simply different. Seeing her emotional, Yukito answers that she is important to him, and that is the only reason he didn't want to see her, pondering that if he had never met her, she would not have worn such an expression. He doesn't want to stand in her way, he's only ever wished for her happiness, but deep down, he realizes he's let go of his own worth. She's no longer his childhood friend, now they're just classmates. After camping ends, when everyone is about to board the bus, Suzurikawa notices that her strap is missing. Yukito tells her it was with her just moments ago. She explains that she might have dropped it while coming down the trail. Determined, she says she will go back to search for it, but Yukito quickly grabs her hand and tells her not to go, warning that if she leaves now, the bus will depart without her. Suzurikawa insists that the strap is the last thing he ever gave her. Yukito replies that her boyfriend will give her many other gifts like that. Angry, she tells him to be quiet, that she has heard enough. Everyone boards the bus, but Suzurikawa remains sad. She silently wonders if this is a punishment for talking to Yukito again. To her, the strap had been a symbol of their bond, a reminder of all the time they had shared, and the final present he had given her. She wonders if he would ever give her such a gift again if she asked. Yet the problem is that everything she wants to hold on to for a long time always slips away from her. She questions whether she should return to the campsite to look for it, but with her injured foot, how could she possibly go back? Eventually, all the students return to school. In class, the teacher asks where Yukido is. One of the boys answers that Yukido went home, saying he was not feeling well. The teacher then turns to Mihao and asks if it is true. Mi replies that he does not know, since Yukido never told him anything. The teacher shakes his head and says that if Yukido needed to leave, he could have gone, but at the very least he should have informed the teacher first. On the other side, Yukido quietly makes his way back to the hills. As he walks, he tells himself that he and Suzurikawa had known each other since childhood, and he cannot bear to see her so sad. Suzurikawa lies on her bed late at night, scrolling through the pictures of herself and Yukido. A heavy thought presses on her heart. Things can never go back to the way they once were. Memories come rushing back of the times when they went to festivals with their families and later slipped away to be alone together. One moment stands out vividly. That day, Yukido had reached out to hold her hand. Embarrassed by her sweaty palms, she quickly pulled away and wiped her hand in silence. After that, he never tried to hold her hand again. Now as she stares at the photos, questions fill her mind. Can they ever be alone together like that again? Will he ever reach for her hand once more? Could they share a hug or even a kiss? She longs to ask him, yet she cannot bring herself to do it. Deep down, she blames herself, believing it was her mistake that damaged the bond they once had. Meanwhile, Yukido searches for the missing strap late at night while rain pours down outside. He thinks he may never find it, yet at last he uncovers the little bare strap. Holding it in his hand, he stares at it silently. A thought crosses his mind. How long will this remain a treasure for her when he has already thrown away all the gifts and memories she once gave him? He slips and believes it to be the end, bidding goodbye to everyone he knows. But he is saved and realizes he knows a few people. As he turns back toward home, his mind drifts to the past. He recalls the festival where they bought plum candies together. Suzurikawa had teased him then, saying he was good at shooting games, and asked him to win her a prize. Though he found the bear prize ugly, he still handed it to her proudly when he won. By middle school, however, Suzurikawa began to find Yukido irritating. Still, he believed in her, trusted that she would return to the festival with him the next summer, and that time would strengthen their bond. But when they went again the following year, the crowd grew overwhelming, and they fell behind the others. In that moment, Yukido reached out and took her hand. She quickly pulled away, wiping her palm nervously. To Yukido, it felt like rejection. In his heart, he thinks he should have realized then that their relationship had already changed, and that she no longer wanted to hold on to him. When Yukido reaches home, drenched in the rain, he catches a cold. He falls asleep, but after half a day, he suddenly wakes up. He had seen a strange dream, yet he forgets what it was about. Turning his gaze toward the bear, he thinks that he must return it. The next day in class, Yukido's sister Yuri calls Mihao. Confused, he asks if she really meant to call him. She takes him outside the classroom. Meanwhile, Suzu grows worried about Yukido, thinking his health might have worsened since he left early the previous day. Out of concern, she quietly follows Yuri and Miho, hiding herself to listen to their conversation. Yuri asks Miho what happened. He replies that she wants to ask about yesterday, specifically why Yukido went home so late. Hearing this, Suzurikawa becomes shocked, wondering why he went home late. After Yuri leaves, she follows and asks if Yukido is all right. Yuri tells her he had a fever, but now he is fine. Then Yuri asks Suzurikawa if she knows the reason. Embarrassed, she admits that it was all her fault. Yuri scolds her, saying she tricked him again and asking why she never stops bothering him. Suzurikawa thinks to herself that his sister has misunderstood and that she should apologize first. But Yuri, annoyed, says she doesn't have time. When Suzurikawa calls out and pleads for her to wait, Yuri angrily tells her not to follow and walks away. Meanwhile, Yukido feels completely fine in his room, though he is hungry and bored. Suddenly, he hears a noise outside, followed by a knock on his door. To his surprise, it is Yuri who enters. He had not expected his sister to knock before coming in. She asks how he is feeling, and he replies that he is fine. Curious, he asks who had knocked earlier. Yuri quickly says it was the newspaper boy, but Yukido points out that she is lying. Startled, she hurriedly changes the subject and gives him something to eat. She asks if he needs anything else, but he says no. Still, she offers to make porridge for him. Yukido refuses, saying her cooking isn't great, and that he would rather make it himself. Half joking, he tells her that since she is healthy, she can make her own porridge, which makes her laugh. Just then, his eyes fall on the bear. Trying to make an excuse, he pretends he hasn't checked his phone since resting. After glancing at it, he suddenly tells Yuri that he needs to go to the convenience store. Without wasting time, he heads out. On the way, he runs into Suzu. She quickly hugs him in relief. Yukito pulls back, telling her to stay away because he smells of sweat. Suzu looks at him with tears in her eyes and says she is just thankful that he is fine. Yukito then asks if she had visited his house earlier. She apologizes, confirming that it was her. Yukito realizes it was Suzu who Yuri was angry with. Laughing softly, he tells her not to worry, saying Yuri was probably just hungry, which explained her behavior. Hearing this, Suzu's tears turn into a trembling smile, though she thinks to herself that Yuri might not feel the same if she found out. Yukito hands the bear back to Suzu. She smiles softly, saying she knew he would go looking for it. Yukito replies that since he is not part of any club, he gets bored easily, and that was the only reason he went out. Suzu thanks him warmly and says that the bear is a bond between them. The two begin walking together. Yukito asks if her foot is better now, and she nods, saying it has healed. As they walk, she thinks about how they once used to stay out late together, but all of that feels like it has ended. Yukito teases her, joking that she shouldn't worry because no one would mind the smell of her feet. Annoyed, she asks if he was serious about the smell, but he only laughs it off as they continue. After a moment, Suzu looks at him and asks if she has changed. When Yukito turns toward her, she admits it feels as if he is avoiding her. He answers that he will always help her whenever she is in trouble, but Suzu presses further, asking if he is saying this only because they are childhood friends. Yukito shakes his head, explaining that whenever she faces hardship, she will need someone to talk to, yet he cannot always be by her side. Suzu holds his arm tightly and pleads with him to stay with her always. Yukito gently refuses, saying it is not his duty. Gathering her courage, Suzu then tells him that she has broken up with Senpai. It happened 2 weeks ago, but she hadn't told him until now. Growing emotional, she asks if they can become childhood friends again. Yukito responds that it is already too late for that. Hesitant, Suzu asks if he likes Mio. He immediately says no. Then, with a distant tone, he adds that the feeling of loving her back then is something he cannot remember anymore. Shocked, Suzu confesses that she has always liked him, ever since they were children. She explains that she had been happiest when he asked her about her feelings and that she had wanted to answer him right away. But Yukito steps back, pushing her away, and tells her he never realized she could lie so much. Suzu is stunned. Yukito accuses her of pretending, saying she liked him while claiming that her reason for dating Senpai wasn't because she didn't like Senpai, but because of him. Clutching the bear tightly, Sujurikawa insists with trembling words that she is not lying. She begins to think back to the days at school when Yukito was popular. He could handle everything, and among his classmates, he was the most mature. That was the reason she acted the way she did back then. At that time, a rumor spread that she was dating Senpai, and she found herself trapped in her own lie. The story escalated to the point of no return. She remembers how, when she and Yukito were little, they had promised to always help each other. That was their best memory together, but she doubts Yukito even remembers it now. Even so, he still helped her when she needed him. Now, as Yukito turns to leave, Sujurikawa's legs tremble. She realizes how deeply her lies have hurt both of them. The truth would have been simple to explain, but fear had kept her silent. She questions herself. Why did she do all of this? She curses her own actions, convinced that Yukito must hate her, and that is why he has grown so distant. But deep inside, she knows she must tell him everything. She has to take a step forward if she truly wants to make things right. She doesn't want him to hate her forever. Clutching the bear tightly, she looks at it with determination and thinks that this will be her last chance. Even if he hates her, she will apologize and take her first step toward fixing everything. Yukito pauses in thought as Yuri appears, holding out an umbrella to him. He remembers how she bought him several things just the day before. Reaching into his pocket, he offers 1,000 yen for what he assumes are medical fees. But she glares at him, clearly upset. Flustered, Yukito apologizes and quickly replaces it with 5,000 yen, hoping to calm her down. Instead, she snaps, accusing him of making a fool of her. He has just recovered from his earlier stumble, and Yuri offers her hand to help him up. But Yukito panics at the thought of classmates seeing them walk together. Memories of past troubles weigh on him, so he refuses, unable to take her hand. The scene shifts to the school gate, and students whisper as the two arrive together. Some mistake Yukito for her boyfriend, while others doubt any real connection between them. Yukito frowns, feeling uneasy about the attention and the misunderstanding. In class, he slumps over his desk, frustrated by how the morning has unfolded. Even when the bell rings, his thoughts remain heavy. His classmate Miho teases him, calling him a lucky guy for his entrance with Yuri. He retorts that she was forceful about it. Overwhelmed by the stares and whispers, he abruptly leaves, claiming he's heading to the canteen. Miho mentions that it'll be the same there. Our boy leaves with an abrupt remark. Meanwhile, Yuri gasps, recalling the morning's events. When her friend asks what's wrong, Yuri's thoughts spiral. She completely misinterprets Yukito's awkward gesture with the money, convinced it implies something scandalous, like she's trying to buy his affection in his sugar sister arrangement. As Yuri rambles on, lost in her overthinking, her friend grows worried about her. Elsewhere, Kyuka eats quietly until her friend teases her about her popularity. The friend's laughter grows when a boy appears at the door, calling for her. She gets up to leave, but the situation troubles her. As they head outside, the boy asks Suma-san out. She politely refuses, saying she doesn't know him well enough. He presses, asking if she likes someone else, but she denies it. Nearby, Yukito is sitting on the stairs, eating sweet buns and mumbling that buying two was a bad idea. When the boy notices him, he asks what Yukito is doing there. Yukito explains that he's only come to eat alone and has no business with them. Yukito tells them to ignore him and urges them to continue, but the boy retorts that the moment has already lost its flow. The boy gets the message and says he'll give up. Soma gives a quick apology. Watching from a distance, Yukito sighs as he opens his snack, thinking the situation has finally quieted down. After the boy leaves, Suma exhales deeply, admitting it truly felt like a hassle. Under his breath, Yukito mutters that he's the one really in trouble. Suma sits down with him on the stairs and tries to start a conversation. She asks why he's there and if he wants to confess something too. Yukito ignores the question, awkwardly blurting out that she's crazy. She starts talking about the guy from earlier and how she couldn't bring herself to say anything. Yukito mutters that he didn't even ask. Soma keeps pressing him with questions, wondering aloud if he is really her junior and accusing him of being merciless. She complains that he could at least speak to her in a more respectful tone. Yukito ignores her, absorbed in the mystery of the two buns, far more intriguing than anything she's saying. Hearing this, Suma's temper flares. She yells in frustration, skeptical that she's being surpassed by a pair of sweet buns. Watching her outburst, Yukito can only think that she is a little unhinged, questioning why she is even saying all this to someone she has only just met. After a moment, she steadies herself and insists that he could at least listen to her. She reminds him that he came to this spot after all, pointing out that he is a gloomy boy with no friends. Yukito responds bluntly, labeling her as an attention grabber. Her eyes widen in surprise at his remark, and she snaps back, questioning if he's crazy. But Yukito continues, saying that for an attention grabber, she is actually quite a nice person. He admits that most people never notice him as the gloomy loner he appears to be, so having her acknowledge him makes him strangely happy. Soma narrows her eyes and teases him, pointing out how suddenly he seems to be praising her. But Yukito denies it, once again calling her an attention grabber. Hearing the phrase repeatedly makes Suma furious, and she bursts out, demanding that he stop. She cries out that this is the most embarrassing moment of her life. Unmoved, Yukito replies carelessly, asking what else he is supposed to call her. He shrugs it off, saying he doesn't really care anyway. Suma pouts in anger at his indifferent attitude, her frustration rising with every word. Suma eventually calms down, her tone softening as she introduces herself as Suma Kyuka, a second-year student. But Yukito remains more interested in his buns than her words. Annoyed, she snaps, demanding he listen to her. He finally introduces himself as Yukito Kokonoe. She asks if he will come there again. He explains that he usually eats in class, but sometimes comes to this spot once or twice a week. Resting on the stairs, she says again that she might return. Yukito mutters it would be troublesome, though perhaps in a good way. Suma flares up, insisting she won't let his words slide, while he only sighs in resignation. Standing, she thanks him, saying their talk has lifted her spirits. Yukito, caught off guard, asks for a consultant fee, which earns him a playful promise of a cream bun next time. Half joking, he calls her goddess senpai, leaving her flustered as she yells at him to stop. With that, she leaves, while Yukito sits on the steps, realizing another of his hiding spots has been claimed. He wonders when he will ever have the peaceful school life he longs for. Later, rain pours suddenly, catching Yukito unprepared. At the entrance, he mutters that the forecast never mentioned rain. His house is close, but without an umbrella and no sign of the storm easing, he decides to make a run for it. Using his school bag as a shield, he dashes through the downpour, resigned to yet another inconvenience. When he reaches home, he notices a girl unloading things from her car. A box slips and falls. Yukito steps forward, helps her pick it up, and asks if she is all right. She seems uneasy, but he reassures her that he lives in the same area. When she asks for help carrying more boxes, he agrees without hesitation. As they work together, she remarks on the way he speaks, finding it unusually old-fashioned. Yukito pauses, thinking he really might seem like a traditional manji JK, the kind admired by high school girls. Inside her new home, Yukito sets the boxes down. She explains she has only recently moved in and has little furniture. She asks him to sit, and he does so reluctantly, reminding himself he will leave soon. The lady returns with tea, thanks him, and introduces herself as Himyama Hisaki. Yukito replies with his name, which she repeats softly, almost as if she recognizes it. Suspicious, he asks if she already knows him. Instead of answering, she sits beside him. Yukito feels uneasy, thinking she should have chosen the seat across from him. As she hands him tea, he asks if she lives alone. Himyama begins to share more. She says she once had a fiancé, but her infertility treatment failed, and his parents rejected her, wanting someone who could provide an heir for their inn. Yukito wonders why she is telling him such personal details, questioning if this is really their first meeting. Could she be another figure like Senpai? He thinks there must be something about him that draws people in this way. She continues, saying if she had been able to have a child, she would not be living alone. She once dreamed of becoming a teacher, but even that did not work. Yukito responds that many students would be happy if she were their homeroom teacher. Her eyes light up, and she takes his hand, asking if he truly means it. Yukito, overwhelmed by her intensity, nods. She thanks him sincerely and wonders if they could become closer. Confused but unable to refuse, he agrees. Her face brightens instantly. She says she wants to meet his parents as a newcomer and adds that she should hurry to get some soba. Later, they arrive at Yukito's house. His mother looks on with confusion as he quickly introduces Himyama as their new neighbor. She politely offers soba and explains how Yukito helped her. As the two women talk, Yukito drifts into thought, overwhelmed by how fast things have unfolded. If only he could hand everything over to his mother and escape. Yet Himyama still holds his hand, leaving him unsettled. She leans closer, thanking him with a warm smile, offering any reward he wants. Though the gesture feels excessive, Yukito composes himself. He then replies, telling her not to spoil him or he'll hug her. Suddenly, Himyama pulls him into an embrace. Flustered, he freezes as she strokes his head, saying everything feels like it is being fixed. From the side, his mother blurts out in shock, demanding to know what they are doing, and urges him to pull himself together. As Himyama pats his head, Yukito admits he feels fine now. Himyama apologizes for treating him like a child, but he admits it feels new since he never experienced such affection before. He mutters that Himyama felt more like a mother, startling his mom. Himyama only smiles, telling him he can rely on her whenever he wants to be spoiled. Though Yukito apologizes for being rude, she insists that is all she can offer. With a faintly sad expression, she excuses herself, and he wishes her good night. Afterward, Yukito retreats to his room. His mother lingers at the doorway, guilt weighing on her. She wonders when she last spent time with her son, perhaps never. He never asks, never demands, never complains. She blames herself, thinking of her past mistakes. If Yukito believes she doesn't love him, the fault lies with her. Sensing her presence, Yukito looks up and asks why she has come home early. She explains she will now stay at home, needing only 1 day a week for work. Yukito simply replies that it is good. She resolves that this is her final chance to make things right. She offers to cook dinner, but before she moves, Yuri arrives. His mother greets her warmly. Yuri steps up to Yukito, places a hand on his shoulder, and tells him to ask her for anything he needs. She doesn't want money or anything in return. Remembering how she rejected his offer that morning, Yukito wonders what she truly means. Half teasing, he asks if she wants his savings. Yuri bursts out angrily, scolding him for being foolish. She insists that money is different, he should never think of it that way. With a softer tone, she promises she would do anything for him, but never in exchange for money. Confused yet touched, Yukito thanks her quietly. His mother then asks Yuri to wash vegetables. She agrees, but when she starts, she asks which detergent she should use. Both Yukito and his mother freeze in confusion. Detergent? Watching her, Yukito recalls her earlier words about unhealthy and wonders what she truly meant. The next day in the school office, a teacher sits deep in thought. Outside the window, he notices the first-year physical examination, where a few quick students catch his attention. Among them is Yukito, but he ends up losing to Mizu. In the same event, Kamashiro sets a new record, drawing a crowd of girls who praise her achievement. Kamashiro dashes across the field with striking speed, her talent undeniable, and athletic skill wasted on the go-home club. Yukito watches silently until Mizu calls out to him. Hearing this, Kamashiro turns her gaze toward Yukito. Concerned, he asks if she is feeling all right, noticing that she seems a bit unwell. She quickly brightens, assuring him with a cheerful smile that she is perfectly fine and even insists that she feels great. Yukito brushes it off, yet points out that she has always been good at lying, which leaves her stunned. He apologizes for disturbing her and turns to go, but she quickly catches his sleeve and asks him to wait. She admits she lied and has simply skipped breakfast, insisting she only wants to keep him from worrying about her. Yukito listens quietly, his gaze steady, while she fidgets nervously beside him. He questions her calmly, pointing out that she barely ate and asking if she overslept. Kamashiro apologizes, confessing that she only had instant ramen the night before. When Yukito suddenly asks about her 3 sizes, she stares at him in shock, while her friends look on in disbelief. He explains matter-of-factly that it is better to ask such questions when they are alone. Later, the group gathers around her, surprised to learn she has not been feeling well. They admit they could not tell at all and ask how Yukito noticed so easily. Kamashiro quickly shakes her head, insisting she is not so sick that she cannot move, even as Yukito's quiet concern lingers over her. Yukito mentions that when Kamashiro is happy, her ponytail always swings around, saying it almost looks like it is moving. The girls laugh at his observation, while Kamashiro reacts in annoyance, insisting her ponytail is not some kind of dog trick. Yukito replies calmly that it is only an observation and advises her not to push herself too hard. Realizing she made him worry, Kamashiro apologizes once more. Yukito leaves, thinking it might be better this way, uneasy about staying any longer. Lost in thought, he heads to his classroom. As soon as he opens the door, students gather around, calling him the rumored Kokonoe-kun. Surprised, he wonders if he has somehow ended up inside a dating simulation. The basketball team surrounds him, pressing for his approval of Kamashiro joining their club. The pressure unsettles him, and he feels as if he has been caught in some kind of game-like situation. Before he can respond, Kamashiro steps forward with a bright smile, declaring she will follow Yukito's choice and even act as a manager to support whichever club he selects. Confused, Yukito cannot understand why Kamashiro is suddenly trying to become his manager, as he cannot join the girls' basketball team. Another classmate speaks up, making it clear Mihao will only join track and field if Yukito does, and that he has come specifically to convince him. Frustration builds inside Yukito as he feels dragged into something against his will, silently cursing whoever has arranged this. Around him, pressure mounts as different clubs compete for his attention. Some push him toward soccer, others toward baseball, each desperate for members. It becomes clear that the chaos is not just about him, but reflects a larger problem, the shortage of students caused by the declining birth rate. Mizu watches with amusement, quietly laughing at the situation, while Yukito grows more overwhelmed. Kamashiro, too, seems uneasy, realizing she never expected things to become this complicated. The atmosphere shifts when the teacher announces it is time to draw lots for new seating. During class, a girl approaches Yukito and introduces herself as Minadaki. He reflects that her name carries a sense of depth, almost as if something hidden lies within its sound. She apologizes, telling him he does not need to force himself to speak like a gal. Yukito laughs and exaggerates his words playfully. Mildly irritated, Minadaki asks if he thinks gals are rare creatures. Yukito jokes instead that he is the rare one. Flustered, she denies it, insisting that is not what she means. Sakurai Kanner remarks that Yukito's dark jokes are not funny. He responds lightly, wondering if they are truly so bad that she needs to point them out. Miho laughs, observing that at least Yukito is aware of it. Soon after, a boy appears and introduces himself as Takahashi, cheerfully announcing he is now part of their group. Yukito retorts that only gloomy people are allowed, to which Takahashi replies that such a condition is impossible. The teacher intervenes, saying it's good to see everyone relaxed but reminding them that tests are approaching and studies shouldn't be neglected. Because of the antics of certain Go-Home Club members, even the staff room has been in chaos. Yukito turns towards Shakadu and warns her not to trouble the teacher. Confused, she apologizes, but the teacher clarifies that the warning is meant for Yukito himself. Irritated, she leaves the room, stressing that the test will be difficult. Afterward, Yukito turns to Miho, calling him idiot number 2 and asking how he is. Miho replies that he's fine, then returns the question and calls him idiot number 1. Yukito looks puzzled, wondering why he's been given that title, thinking he doesn't want to bring shame to his sister's name. Miho admits things are going to be tough. In the middle of this, Kamashiro asks Yukito if he can help her with her studies. In his mind, he labels her idiot number 3. Soon, Yukito, Kamashiro, and Miho walk to the front of the class, drawing attention. Yukito explains that since number 3 has requested it, they'll begin group study. Miho quickly declares himself assistant number 2. When Yukito looks for clarification, Kamashiro explains that she had only suggested studying, but everyone else wants to join in as well. The whole class soon gets caught up in the numbering, each claiming a place. Suzurikawa proudly chooses number 8, but Yukito protests, saying she shouldn't joke since she's a role model. Suzurikawa admits there are still things she doesn't fully understand. Taking the lead, Yukito writes a question on the board, telling everyone it's certain to appear on the test. Curious, they asked how he knows. He explains that the same question has appeared for 4 years in a row. Remembering how Yuri gave him her test paper last year, he shares it now with the class as a special treat. They thank him sincerely. Yukito continues writing, predicting what each teacher is likely to include. During this, Kamashiro comments that it doesn't feel like a proper study session. Yukito asks what she means, and she says he should be teaching them how to solve the questions. He thinks to himself that none of the questions trouble him, surprised by her bluntness. The mood shifts when Miki-chan clings to Kanachi, crying that she hates Yukito. Kana tries to comfort her, but Miki-chan also declares she hates Miho. He jokes that even he has no doubts about the questions. Kamashiro immediately scolds him, warning him not to be brainwashed by Yukito. Miho protests that he hasn't even begun, while Yukito mutters inwardly how much this handsome loves changing sides. He expresses how much he dislikes that handsome. Still upset, Miki-chan rejects the idea outright, while Kana tells Yukito that putting on an expression won't help. Yukito is left puzzled, wondering when such a detail has been added, as if they're destined to be rivals until the end. Suzurikawa steps up, urging everyone to begin studying. Kana asks her a question, and Suzurikawa explains it patiently, her teaching style graceful and masterful. Watching, Yukito admires her skill. Soon after, Kamashiro comes to Yukito with a problem. He explains it, and she thanks him before moving on to Miho. Yukito notices this shift and feels confused. He turns to Kana, playfully calling her Elizabeth, and asks if Kamashiro and Miho are on bad terms. Irritated, Kana tells him to just use her real name. She explains that the two are rivals. Yukito repeats the word to himself, comparing it to how he and Kana are rivals too. Annoyed, Kana demands to know the point of him using the name Elizabeth. The group presses on with their preparation. By the end, everyone is exhausted, but Yukito reassures them that they covered enough not to fail. Kamashiro complains that her head feels like it's short-circuiting, and Yukito laughs, saying she might need to clear it. He mentions how he usually goes to the park to refresh himself, especially on the basketball court. Kamashiro seems surprised that he still plays. He replies that it's just to clear his head. As Yukito prepares to leave, Kamashiro asks if she can walk with him. He responds casually, reminding her she's free to do as she wishes. On the quiet court, Yukito shoots the ball, watching it arc toward the hoop. He flexes his hand, still feeling a lingering strangeness in it. Though the sensation remains, he tells himself it doesn't really matter. Kamashiro arrives cheerfully, raising a basketball with a bright smile as she calls out to him. Yukito freezes, stunned that she actually followed him there. He hesitates, wondering if bringing her along was the right choice. Just then, a group of older players approaches, greeting him with familiarity. Recognizing them, Yukito looks their way and calls out to Kikuma-senpai, introducing them as university students he has known since his middle school days. Kamashiro, full of energy, responds with a cheerful hello. Haikuma grins and casually asks if the girl with Yukito is his girlfriend. Kamashiro flushes, clutching the ball nervously, and quickly denies it, insisting she isn't. Yukito, deadpan, only makes things worse by joking that she's more like a dog. Startled, Kamashiro protests loudly, but the others laugh and play along, teasing further that if she doesn't have a collar, she must be a stray. Embarrassed and flustered, she waves her hands in denial while Yukito tries to explain himself, but the group fuels the fire with more teasing remarks, leaving her caught between outrage and blushing confusion. Desperate, Kamashiro blurts out that her name is written on her family registry. The others pause, then bluntly conclude this only proves she really is a dog, leaving her even more embarrassed. Yukito steps forward, quickly explaining that they are just classmates. Kamashiro follows up, insisting she only came to exercise and play basketball. Though nervous, she forces a brave smile, clutching the ball tightly in her hands. Hyakuma chuckles, remarking that Yukito hasn't changed one bit. Hyakuma suggests that since everyone is gathered, they should play a match, and Yukito agrees. Excitement spreads through the group as the players cheer, eager to begin. Kamashiro joins in enthusiastically, declaring her readiness. The older players laugh and shout with renewed energy, thrilled to have her on the court, and the atmosphere instantly grows livelier. The match begins, and Yukito gives it his all. With focused effort, he manages to score, a surge of excitement rushing through him. Unlike the pressure of PE or the expectations of club activities, this feels different, just a simple game played for the joy of it. As the realization sinks in, he understands that this is what fun truly feels like. A quiet happiness settles in his heart, knowing he can still experience something like this. After the match, Hyakuma tells Yukito and Kamashiro that they'll meet again, while the rest of the group cheerfully remarks how much fun the game was before heading off. Once they leave, Kamashiro asks if Yukito is going home as well. He shakes his head, admitting he suddenly has a craving for something sweet. Not far ahead, they spot an ice cream cart and decide to buy crepes. Walking side by side, they enjoy the treat together. Kamashiro glances at him with a small smile and says it almost feels like a date. Yukito, unimpressed, replies that he would hate a smelly date like this. As they walk, Kamashiro admits she didn't know Yukito had friends like that. He responds curtly, saying it's not necessary to know everything about someone. Unbothered, she tells him she wants to learn more about him, adding that today was fun. It reminded her of middle school. Smiling, she says she enjoyed spending time with him. Yukito, however, replies roughly that he too had fun. Trying to lighten the mood, Kamashiro suggests doing something else together. Yukito brushes it off, insisting she should forget about that incident. But she softly confesses it isn't about the past. It's simply her selfish wish. She just wants to see him play again. Yukito shakes his head, saying he doesn't have the motivation for that anymore. When she asks what he would do if he found motivation, he answers that it depends, adding that he's gotten comfortable with the lazy routine of the go-home club. Kamashiro admits she was once in a club too, and though this relaxed lifestyle doesn't feel bad, she still speaks with a spark of conviction. Yukito watches her closely, his thoughts shifting. Kamashiro is different from him, he realizes. Many people need her. She shouldn't waste her talents in the go-home club. And above all, her bright personality has surely saved countless people, just like it once saved him. Kamashiro recalls how he used to smile more. Without hesitation, she wraps her arms around him in a tight hug. Her voice trembles but remains firm as she confesses, saying she wants to be with him, that she likes him, and pleads for him not to go. She recalls the past, regretting the words she once said. Yukito stiffens, his eyes widening. Caught off guard, he murmurs in confusion that he doesn't understand what she's saying. Kamashiro struggles to gather her emotions, but in her heart she knows it is love. She holds Yukito's hand tightly and pulls him to face her, her expression filled with determination. Memories of her past mistakes linger, yet she acknowledges that despite everything, he always stood by her, shielding her when she needed it most. That strength gave her the courage to stand before him now. What she carries is not guilt or a desire to fix the past, but a genuine affection she can no longer hide. Yukito, however, remains conflicted. He tries to reason with himself, convincing his mind that the quickness of her heartbeat must be from the exercise, but the thought feels empty. Deep inside, he knows the truth in her words, and her closeness leaves him unsettled. He is unable to tell her that. Yukito notices a small smear of cream on Kamashiro's face and points it out. She admits she already knew, but had been waiting to see when he would realize. When he reacts awkwardly, she clarifies that she wanted him to be the one to wipe it away. Her playful yet earnest behavior leaves him unsettled, unsure of how to respond. Kamashiro's tone then turns more serious. She reminds him of the time he once explained why he had started basketball in the first place and wonders aloud if she could now be his reason to return to the game. She wishes to become the source of his motivation, not wanting the moment between them to fade without meaning. Yukido's thoughts twist into darker places. He tries to push her away with a cruel suggestion, believing such words would be enough to make her step back. Inwardly, he hopes this rejection will end everything, sparing them both from going further. Yet instead of retreating, Kamashiro accepts his words without hesitation, declaring that if it would give him the drive he needs, then she would endure it. His heart sinks at her resolve. He silently pleads that this should have been enough to stop her, yet she continues, her voice unwavering. She assures him that her feelings are sincere, not born of guilt or a need for redemption, but from a genuine wish to be by his side. Despite his resistance, her determination refuses to break, leaving him at a loss, unable to escape the weight of her confession. Later that day, Yukido finds himself at Himyama's home, where she had invited him once again. Sitting there, his thoughts drift. To him, love feels uncertain, fragile, and bound to fade. The feelings he once had for Suzurikawa are gone, impossible to revive. Even promises of forever seem hollow, as shown by his mother's divorce and so many others. To him, it's just the quiet cruelty of life. His thoughts are interrupted when Himyama arrives with a tea tray, announcing she has finally completed her move and decided to invite him over once more. She offers him a choice of cake, and he picks Mont Blancs without much hesitation. Smiling, she takes the other slice for herself and admits she's glad their paths had crossed again today. As they sit together, Yukido grows uneasy. He notices the ease with which she had drawn him into her home on his way back, just like before. Now she sits right beside him, close enough that her presence feels intentional. The way she leans toward him leaves little room for doubt in his mind. Her actions feel deliberate, almost as if she is trying to draw him in further, to charm him. He apologizes for carrying the scent of sweat from earlier exercise, but Himyama reassures him with an easy smile, saying it doesn't bother her. Her casual acceptance unsettles him more than her closeness. Inside, his thoughts grow heavy. He feels as though he's sinking into quicksand, aware that the longer he stays, the harder it will be to pull himself out. Yet despite knowing this, his body refuses to move. The soft fragrance surrounding her chips away at what little resistance he has left. He reminds himself he is only human, and before such beauty, it is impossible not to waver. A memory surfaces of his mother attending Parents' Day long ago. Among the many guardians present, her striking beauty was unforgettable, and he had forced himself to keep his eyes fixed on the blackboard. That memory echoes now, intensifying his awareness of Himyama's presence and the dangerous pull she has over him. Yukido cautiously brings up the topic of Himyama's former fiancé. She responds with a gentle smile, playfully hinting that her attention now belongs entirely to him, as though she has already accepted the consequences of that choice. Her words carry a teasing edge, yet beneath them lies a deeper meaning he can't ignore. Gathering his thoughts, Yukido presses further, asking what she truly feels about her ex. He wonders if she had ever genuinely cared for the man, or if those feelings were fleeting. The question slips out more heavily than intended, shaped by his own experiences and the shadow of his mother's failed marriage. Himyama admits that she once had genuine feelings for her former fiancé, but there were circumstances that love alone could not overcome, and because of that, they eventually separated. For her, that was the simple truth of their relationship. Yukido, curious yet uncertain, asks if she has completely let go of those emotions. She explains that while her current feelings no longer matter, what remains is the fact that she did care for him once, and that part of the past cannot be denied. Yukido admits he can't fully understand what she means, but Himyama simply pats his head with a soft smile. She tells him not to overthink, reminding him that as a student, he should place his own feelings first. Still, she acknowledges that there are certain memories no one can truly forget, and the scars left behind by our actions remain with others forever. With that, she excuses herself for a moment and steps out, leaving Yukido alone at the table. He quietly takes another bite of cake, his thoughts drifting inward. He wonders if he too has left behind wounds in someone's heart that will never fade. When she returns, dressed in a form-fitting knit dress, her casual question about her appearance sends a jolt through Yukido, leaving him overwhelmed and speechless. Noticing his flustered state, Himyama teases him for his innocence, her tone playful as she leans in closer. The sudden intimacy unsettles him, and when she asks if she looks fine to him, he stumbles over his words, admitting that she does, so much so that it shatters his composure. Overwhelmed, Yukito abruptly rises to his feet, apologizing in a rush as if begging to escape the situation. Himyama, amused by his reaction, asks if he feels any better now. Avoiding her gaze, he mutters that he would rather remain silent, and with that he quickly leaves, desperate to regain control of himself. He returns home in a fluster, and his mother greets him warmly. Noticing his unsettled expression, she gently asks what happened. He mutters something about Himyama's presence being overwhelming, even claiming her clothes nearly gave him a headache, before excusing himself to take a bath. Left behind, his mother watches him go, confusion clouding her thoughts. Alone, she reflects on Himyama, sensing that the girl is far more than just a neighbor. Something about her feels as though she is reaching into Yukito's life in ways no ordinary person would. From there, her thoughts shift inward toward herself. She wonders if Yukito's struggles with girls and his difficulty opening up began with her. Childhood shapes who we become, and she cannot help but think of how little warmth she gave him when he needed it most. A memory rises. When Yukito was small, he once came to her seeking comfort. Exhausted from work, she had brushed him off, promising to talk in the morning. Another day, she had left him with his sister for dinner, too tired to sit with him herself. Slowly, she noticed the change. He stopped speaking to her about anything, shutting himself away. Yuri, still a child herself, tried to care for him in her own way, but even that never reached him. Over time, Yukito's eyes grew distant, as though rejecting her altogether. She recalls the day she visited his class. Other children smiled shyly at their mothers, waving with small gestures of affection. Yukito, however, never turned to look. He only faced forward, his expression unreadable, as if nothing behind him mattered anymore. The memory still freezes her heart. Regret settles in her chest, heavy and sharp. She blames herself for her failures, for the distance that grew between them. Yet one thought burns brighter than the rest. No matter how late she is, she refuses to give up. She will show her son the love he deserves, the love she had once denied him. And in a way, she feels Himyama's presence has ignited that determination within her, stirring a fire she can no longer ignore. Lost in her thoughts, Yukito's mother steps into the washroom. The sight startles him, leaving him wide-eyed in disbelief. She, however, seems almost calm, musing aloud that perhaps it wouldn't be so strange if they shared a bath once in a while. Her thoughts drift to the past, wondering when the last time had been that they had done something so simple together. She imagines washing his hair and back, believing that even such a small act could be her way of showing him the affection she had long failed to give. But Yukito, overwhelmed and caught completely off guard, bursts out in frustration. To him, even his own home no longer feels like a place where he can relax.
Here I am, know it's been